Hello and welcome back to the Cricket Nerds podcast. Can India defeat Bazball? Is the theme of today. So I am James. I'm joined by Zach. How are you doing, Zach?
I'm awesome, thank you.
Excellent.
How are you?
I'm really well, and I'm quite excited for this podcast because we've just got general crickety stuff to talk about. So in the news, England have released their squad for the finale of the series that has lasted the longest of any test series, I think. The continuation of the series that was sort of postponed last year with India, that India were 2-1 up in, and this is the decider whether or not we'll draw or India will thrash us, basically. And then in other news, Jos Buttler's been named the white ball captain after Owen Morgan has retired from international cricket. So there's stuff to talk about here. What do you want to jump into first, Zach?
I think I want to jump into the changes in leadership that have happened, because although it's the same teams, there's different leadership, there's different players, and so there's lots of differences, and I think that is mostly what we're going to be talking about anyway. But if we start with the leadership, the people at the top, it was last year Joe Root versus Virat Kohli, and I guess they were picked because they were the best two batsmen in their sides. That's kind of the way that captaincy went for a while. But whereas Joe Root has kind of got better and Virat Kohli's got worse, Virat Kohli is still not as good, but he's still a good player and he's still in the team. And Joe Root is still in the team as England's best batsman. So they've not left, but they are replaced by Ben Stokes for England and Rohit Sharma for India. So who do you think has had the better change in terms of leadership?
That's a good question, actually, because I'd say as a batsman, Rohit is better. He's been far more consistent. He actually gives stability at the top of an innings, which is something England haven't had for a long time. And as a captain, he's shown that he's pretty good. But also, Ben Stokes, in the 3 matches I've seen of him captaining a red ball side, has been amazing. This new ultra aggressive mindset and his field settings all seem to work every time he changes bowling. That seems to pay off. So, maybe it's like this purple patch that, that happens when a new captain comes in and new management takes over. But England are looking pretty spicy under Ben Stokes. But interestingly, with India and Rohit, he's come down with COVID, I think. So there's actually a question mark over whether or not he'll play, and who captains if he's not the captain, because I don't think they'll give the armband back to Kohli, will they? So is it someone else?
I think the question is the same with England. With England, if Ben Stokes not the captain, then do we revert back to Root? If Rohit Sharma's not the captain, do they revert to Kohli? So let's say Ben Stokes comes down with COVID on tomorrow morning. It might be Root versus Kohli all over again, which makes this conversation a bit pointless. But no, I think if you look at the Indian team, there's lots of experience there. Unlike England, well, I guess England are still quite experienced.
Yeah, we got like Bairstow and Broad. They were kind of well, Bairstow wasn't really in the shouts, but Broad was definitely in the conversation when they were deciding who was going to overtake from Root. So I wouldn't mind that for a game.
Talking of Broad, though, England have kept him in for this match against India, choosing Broad over Jamie Overton, because we all knew Anderson was going to come back. And also Potts has been included, but I think that was a no-brainer given how well he's bowled over the last 3 test match series against New Zealand. I think Potts has been best bowler on either side. And yeah, So I don't think there was any conversation about him being dropped unless he was injured. So I guess it was between Broad and Overton. Overton obviously made that very good 97 to get England back into the game. It showed a lot of fight, which is going to reduce England's ability to bat from number 8 downwards. But what are your thoughts? Were you surprised that Jamie Overton was dropped, or could you see it coming?
I mean, in the last podcast, we were kind of saying that we'd drop Broad and keep Overton in. And then I had to think on it since, in a meditative stance. And I thought, Chris Wokes. That's it. This is Chris Wokes abroad, because Overton didn't actually bowl that well. Like, yes, he got up to the 90 miles an hour. And when we see that number, we're like, oh yeah, that's cool. That's a point of difference. But you could tell he was quite nervous. He was a bit all over the place. His lengths weren't very consistent. His line certainly wasn't consistent. So as an actual bowler, he didn't do that well. So if we're going to do another thing like Chris Wokes in the West Indies, where we're picking someone to because he's a half decent bat at number 8, but he's actually bowling trash. Not saying that Jamie Overton's bowling trash, far be it, but I think from that number 8 position down, the England mindset at the moment is they need to be the best bowlers. And if they can bat, that's also good. And so I actually completely agree with the team that we've picked as far as picking Broad over Overton, because as a bowler, Stuart Broad is definitely better at the moment than Jamie Overton. And it is a tricky one though, because like you say, especially with history of collapses, you kind of want to see us back down to 9 would be nice. But we definitely don't. What was your opinion on it?
Well, I just think in terms of the Bazball mindset of when you win the game, we're looking to win the game. More often than not, games of cricket last 4 innings, and the game is won usually in that 4th innings. That's what they're kind of, the mindset is take it to the last innings. And if you're on the final day, you need 10 wickets to win. The player who's more likely to run through the opposition is Stuart Broad. We've seen him do it time and time again. I still believe he's got the ability to have those magic spells where he takes 5 wickets in.
He gets that momentum, doesn't he?
Yeah, and we kind of saw it in the first Test match at Lords. We wouldn't have won if Broad hadn't taken those 2 wickets in quick succession. And you could see his legs starting to pump up, and he gets into it, I think that is the difference for me. Stuart Broad is more of a match winner. I'm not saying Jamie Overton isn't a match winner and can't be a match winner, but I think at this point in time, as you're saying, Broad is the better bowler. And Jamie Overton is to have someone who can bat that well and bowl quick. He's definitely a good person to have as a backup injury replacement bowler. But first choice, not in my opinion.
Yeah. So if Rohit's out, right? Chances are, because I don't think there's a KL either. I think KL Rahul is also injured. Groiny stuff. So my boy Mayank Agarwal's been called up, which I love to see because he is one of the most likable guys in cricket, I think. And so he could open, and he's been amazing in tests generally. So seeing him open, who opens with him, do you think?
I would say you go with the Agarwal to open.
Yeah, but then who opens with Agarwal if Rohit's out?
Oh, sorry, I thought you were. It was a given that Shrikar Barrett was going to fill in, or did we not talk about that last time?
No, we didn't talk about
that in the last. Oh, no. Well, we talked about other things in the last podcast.
Yeah, we talked about so much. So yeah, let's have a talk about Shrikar Barrett.
No, well, yeah, I think Shrikar Barrett will open the batting. Given the fact that Cheteshwar Pujara, he could open the batting, but he's a middle order player. He's a number 3, maybe a number 4. I wouldn't say Pujara is an opener. However, I think that's a sensible option. But
and the form he's had in the county championship as well is
yeah.
I
also believe, I'm led to believe that it's too late for Rohit Sharma at this point. So I think Jasprit Bumrah is going to be the captain in his place.
Boom, boom.
Just had a quick glance at the squads, and it says Jasprit Bumrah captain. So
wow. That's
I think that's
a weird
happen.
thing. I'm not sure how I feel about it. Has Jasprit Bumrah ever captained anything? I can't remember a single thing he's captained.
No. So it'll be interesting to see what
That's
happens
exciting.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah. He doesn't strike me as captaincy material.
No.
But
I really hope he opens with himself.
Yeah. I guess I didn't mention Shubman Gill as well. I forgot about him.
Yes. Yeah,
he
open in one of the practice matches against Leicestershire?
Yeah, I think it's going to be Shubman Gill, actually, and with either a goal or Shrika Bharat. But India's lineup isn't as certain as England's lineup.
No, it's not.
And I know COVID plays a part, but even if COVID hadn't played a part, let's say Rohit Sharma opened the batting with, say, Shubman Gill or Mayank Agarwal or whoever, you've then got Pujara potentially coming in at 3, although he's not done well in Test cricket recently. So then, Hanuma Vihari coming in at 3, and then Virat Kohli will come in at 4, and then if Pujara plays, does Vihari come in at 5, or does Shreyas Iyer come in at 5? So that their batting isn't certain yet. We won't know. I don't know about who's going to bat in 3 or 5 for India until tomorrow. Yeah. However, England, who's batting 1 through 6. 1 through 11. We know that already.
Do. Yeah, we've released it already.
And they've done so for the last 3 test matches.
Last question for India then. Because like you're right, we don't really know who's going to bat. We don't even know who's going to bowl, really, because apart from Bumrah, they've just got deep stocks of players, and that's kind of what India's thing is. But the last question is Kohli going to finally get a century after however many years of not getting a test century?
We'll leave that question with James Anderson.
Ooh, okay.
Is he going to be able to take the wicket of Virat Kohli? It's the thing everyone looks to, isn't it? So I
hope he doesn't in this test, because I'm an England fan, but it'll be quite a sight when he does. I think I would like to be sitting in the stands with a bunch of Indian fans wearing a Kohli top when Kohli gets that 100. That's where I'd want to be, because the scenes will be amazing. I think Kohli will be quite fiery with it. So yeah, but we'll park that there for now, and we'll just move on quickly to Jos Buttler being the new white ball captain, overtaken from Owen Morgan. It's kind of the news we all expected. And yeah, it's going to be an interesting one, actually, because Buttler is definitely a more mild-mannered person when you look at him.
Yes.
Not the way he bats, but just in interviews and stuff, he's just very, softly spoken and just quite nice. Owen Morgan's got a bit more of that Irish fire, that whiskey-fueled drive just to attack. And does Buttler have that same drive? What's this England side going to look like, Zach?
My thoughts after Morgan retired was almost like Morgan is not retiring because he's holding on to the team. I think Morgan sees it as his team, even though he's not in form. It's the team that he's been improving since 2015, and for him to let that go when England is successful is hard. It's hard for him to just drop that. And the thing that's being bandied about at the moment is that Jos Buttler is tactically brilliant. Whether there's much evidence to show that, I don't know. That's kind of just what everyone's saying. So I guess we'll see. So tactically, I do think Buttler is, from what everyone's saying, he's good enough to lead this England side, and he's done it on multiple occasions for England. So it's not like it's a new role for him. I guess the thing is whether it will become Butler's side, or if it will become Butler's side with the Morgan influence and mindset carrying on. because Morgan has it. He's changed cricket, really. He's changed white ball cricket across the world. And I don't see why he wouldn't remain a part of that England setup.
Yeah, I mean, he did say that
maybe in a mentor role, I guess.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, Morgan in an interview said for the time being, he's going to just remove himself from that whole setup, just, while the dust settles. And I think that does make sense, actually, just so that the captain can fully be the captain. Because, I mean, we saw it happen with CSK in the IPL. Like Dhoni said, I'm not going to be the captain anymore, boys. This new guy, Jadeja is going to take over. And then he ended up like failing, and Dhoni dadded him and just took over. So you wouldn't want to see that happen with Morgan. And I think Morgan's he's the type of person that even if he didn't want to, he kind of would end up taking over a bit. So I'm quite excited for this new chapter. And as much as we have Morgan to thank for all of this in terms of like the tactical brilliance, and he was an amazing player. He's been a shadow of his former self in international cricket for the last couple of years, and we've kind of been waiting for him to get back into form. But I think it's the right decision for him, and I hope he makes absolute bags in franchise stuff before he decides to finally retire and go into broadcasting and coaching and all that good stuff. But it then means that this England side is going to look pretty good. Like we've opened up another middle order spot there, and I think it could be pretty hardcore. Lots of big hitting, exciting stuff to come. Right, I think we'll leave it there. So thank you very much for watching. Thank you, Zach, for this conversation. We love chatting and waffling about some cricket. Send in your Cricket Nerds questions if you've got any, because we love answering those as well. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And other than that, you can follow our social medias on at Cricket Nerds Pod, and listen to our stuff as well. If you're out and about on a commute, you can listen to us on Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, the whole shebang. So thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you guys later.